Hello and welcome to Hands-on SELinux course. My name is Jean-Pierre Nyodusenga and I will be taking you through this course. The SELinux course covers the fundamentals of security-enhanced Linux. I'll teach you how to configure and enforce security policies on Linux systems, different flavors that you may be running on your side. Participants will learn about SELinux mods, policies, labeling, and troubleshooting techniques to manage access control and protect system integrity. By the end of the course, they will be able to secure Linux applications and troubleshoot SELinux denials effectively using logs or various techniques to be able to identify denials or simply what to allow, what to deny accordingly. Prerequisites and system requirements. You need to understand how VM works, definitely as a prerequisite, and also definitely understand basic Linux commands, how to type basic commands interactively on the shell. Security is a requirement, but not much. Depending on the level of security understanding you have, that will be okay. The most important thing is for you to know how to type some commands in Linux interactively on the shell. Definitely, you'll have to understand how to configure your local repository, how to install a package, how to remove a package. Minimum requirements for your hardware. You must have any Linux distribution, but I encourage people to run CentOS or Red Hat Enterprise Linux. The processor minimum should be Core i3 or equivalent. Minimum RAM should be 8 GB of RAM. Then storage, because you're going to use various VMs, you must have at least minimum of 20 gig available space. This is how the course is going to run, the roadmap. Definitely we're going to have introduction to SELinux, followed by SELinux mods and configuration. We'll have policy management, we'll have troubleshooting SELinux, we'll have to apply SELinux, how SELinux is applicable, applied in real life. Then we'll also have SELinux use cases. Lastly, we'll have conclusion, where we'll have to emphasize the SELinux potence in real life, or simply how we use it to enhance Linux security. Here we go. You must have your test bed ready. And as a matter of fact, allow me to launch my VM so that at least I show you how everything is going to be running. Here's my VM and you have to log in. You have to log in preferably as root, because the root is the one having privileges to be able to install, run packages back and forth. And so you must be sure that your local repo is deployed so that you are able to run commands. Let's see how it works. To begin with, you've got to run your terminal. To begin with, you've got to run your terminal and ensure that you have your local repository deployed. YAML repository. You have to ensure that you have your local repository and all of them should be running and enabled, so at least you'll be able to install some of the packages. Once you do that, you can install packages, but before we do that, allow me to show you a couple of commands that are going to be guiding you. For example, in case you want to check on your security enabled Linux status, you have to do SE status, and this tells you whether you have your policy enabled or not enabled. And this is going to be only displayed when you have the package installed. That's why I emphasize the fact that before you proceed, you must have your your packages, the local repository loaded. So at least when you want to install a package, you can be able to do it. When you want to know which mod you're running in, without running SE, you can do get enforce. Get enforce will give you the current mod you are running. And enforcing mode, we have two modes. We can have enforcing mode and permissive mode. If you want to run or change one on the fly, you can decide to do set enforce. If you do set enforce and then you do one, you go in one mode. That is enforcing mode. How do you know? Because if I do get enforce, immediately I'm in enforcing mode. But if I do setting force and I do 0, that means I switch to permissive mode. What are these modes? These modes I explain in the course, and I invite you to see each and every one, what they do, whenever we allow one, what we block, whenever we allow another one, what we allow, so on and so forth. So when I do setting force and I do getting force now, to see which mode I'm running, you can see I've switched on in permissive mode. These modes will not take effect until you configure permanently in the SELinux. You can see, I'll show you this. In the path, you can see we have a path /etc SELinux, and this tells you the fact that you can have the path, and this path tells you to do what? Tells you to be able to edit and go through all these packages. And here we go. I'll show you the path where you can edit for you to be able to go through the permanent, I would call it a permanent change, because this one is on the fly. Whenever you do setting force, getting force, it's on the fly. But when you do etc, and then we do SELinux, and then we do config, this one takes you where you can permanently switch your mode. Once you want to do a permanent enforcing, you can do insert it here and save it, and remember to reboot your system. If I reboot, then it's going to be permanent. Whereas if I do permissive, it's going to be the same. So with this said, I want to encourage you to do the same. And this is just showing you how to get started. As we dive into the course, we'll get to show you a couple of other stuff, how to deal with your system. And of course, I want to shut it down, how to deal pretty much with your SELinux components back and forth. And here we go. So the course starts now, and I invite you to follow with me as we dive into the course. All right, I'll see you in the course.